Julia, you are in a completely different place today.
Yes. I'm at an Airbnb in Maryland with like 300 acres of trees. It's really a
You
wonderful
must love
getaway.
it. Yeah.
It's a surprising getaway. I didn't realize I'd be moving out of my house, but that's happening.
And it
So
looks like the weather's decent.
it's beautiful.
That's great. It's very stormy here in Texas, uh,
Oh yeah.
Texas location. So we've taken a few weeks off and all hell broke loose politically in the United States. There's definitely a correlation. And
100%. This is what happens when we slack off and decide to have a little
yes,
break.
yes, exactly. And we've actually been recording some episodes, but this week, well, since the assassination attempt and then Biden withdrawing and Kamala Harris getting off to what everyone admits is a very fast start, it just seemed that we should talk between the two of us about what the hell is going on and see if we can offer some constructive ideas.
Well, yeah, and the last time we talked to just the two of us, it was our New Year's Day episode or
Mm,
new post to New Year's when we were talking about our predictions for the year. So it's
yeah,
about
yeah.
halfway through the year. So we started talking to each other on text about, oh, but you had said this and I had said that, and now we're in this whole new place because it's just about a little over
Hey,
halfway
let me
through the
move my
year.
microphone a little closer to me. I think that
Oh
will
yeah, that's more
be
intimate.
helpful. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay, but just like a caveat.
Yeah.
Both of us, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to speak for you and you'll correct me. Both of us are not interested in being political sort of commentarists at all. Like at all.
Not, not in any way. I kind of,
Right.
yes.
But it's something that's happening to the country that affects the national security, affects our international positioning, it affects the human beings in this country who are the ones that at least personally I care the most about. So, so we kind of have to talk about it, but
Right.
we want to talk about it in a way that's not like, ooh, now
Yes.
let's talk about what would be good for the Democrats or what would be good for the Republicans. Like, let's talk about for independence. Let's talk about what would be good for the country.
That would be novel, sadly. My rule on social media is never to argue. So if I even come back with a different idea, not necessarily in the context of argument, that's unusual for me. And I have a series of Texas high school friends, and they were having a conversation on Facebook today about how horrible it was that the voters' rights were being supplanted, suppressed, because nobody actually voted for Kamala Harris in the primaries. And I thought, I didn't want to argue, but I knew that that was, I mean, I have to use this word, that was an ignorant comment, by which I mean a comment that lacked the context of knowledge of history. So I found a website that talked about the way candidates have been nominated. And of course, the primary system is a very modern thing. It really, in fact, maybe the last 3 or 4 decades, definitely it didn't start until after World War II. But often the primaries were not binding on the state's delegates. The point is that having candidates chosen by a party convention has been the norm for most of American political history. So I kind of, I thought, should I chance it? Because I don't want it to get into an argument. But all I did was just post that link with a little comment, Constitution, party conventions have been the norm, and posted the link, which was from a neutral website about what the Constitution says kind of thing. And much to my relief, the originator of the post said, "Thank you, Carmen." And I was like, okay. I can inject a little fact and context, right?
And it's okay.
They have a
Yeah,
right to believe whatever they want to believe, but
right.
I mean, I certainly always want to be corrected when I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, right?
Me
Which,
too. Yeah, it's
which is often.
embarrassing and yeah. Yeah. Also, there's the test of the other shoe, right? You put the other shoes. Like if you put yourself, if you're a person who's largely on the Republican side of the fence, and you have a statement to make about how you think things aren't fair on the other side of the fence, put the shoes on your feet that they're wearing and see if you would say the same thing.
Right.
And it feels to me like that fails that test.
Yes. Yes. Of course. Right.
Right. And so one of the things this brings up, one of the things that would be great for this country is if we could try to take that test all the time. Like
Yes.
if I were walking a mile in your shoes, um, take the shoe test. Would I feel the same way vehemently that I
Exactly.
do about this thing that I don't
Exactly.
probably know much about?
And I think, in fact, this will get into or apply to a couple of my suggestions because we're very soon going to make some recommendations, suggestions.
I call them 1 minute brainstorm blasts. Yeah.
Okay, 1 minute brainstorm blast. But I think both sides are very bad at understanding the other side.
Yeah.
The way I like to put it is when you describe the position of your opponent and you use words that they would not use to
Yeah.
describe their position, then you don't understand them.
It's not fair to their position.
It's
Now I
not
get it.
fair. Yes,
Politics is not about being fair, and I get that. But if you're going to be fair to the position because you recognize, this is an if statement, and
right,
it's also an idealist statement. Ideally, you would want to be fair to the both positions because you recognize that in a two-party, basically a two-party system, the parties are actually balancing each other. So one party goes too much in the extreme, another party says, wait a minute, that's too much in the extreme. That's why there's two parties. That's why about half the country goes into each of these
that's
parties,
how
right?
it should work.
That's how it should work. And it's actually kind of a cool idea. It's like you have these guardrails. Oh, a little bit too far. Okay, we're coming on. Oh, a little bit too far, right? It's kind of beautiful. And the only way it works is if you actually ask the question, what is it that those people are responding to so vehemently that is real? There's something real there. So what's real there? And how can I take that into consideration over here? How can I see that the train is going too far off the guardrails and use that information to right it?
Right.
And that's the role of a really good president, right? Is to
But
right the
yeah,
train.
exactly. But I agree. But one of the pathologies that we have in our political system in the United States right now is that both political parties have large groups of adherents who don't believe in the balancing act, who believe, in fact, that the other system is completely wrong or the other point of view is completely wrong and must be eliminated from consideration.
Yes.
So there are
Yes.
uh, extreme progressives, perhaps, I'm not sure what word to use because they're all loaded, in the Democratic Party who believe that about the Republican Party, and there are extreme conservatives in the Republican Party who believe that about the Democratic Party. And, democracy is based on the idea that there or on the assumption, I don't know that our founding fathers ever said that, but this is Carmen's assessment, that democracy is based on the idea that you will rarely find the perfect objective solution. You will rarely get it presented to you on a platter. And so therefore, you have to probe and test with different policy options, retreat when they don't work, and then probe and test with the next one. And if you know anything about complexity theory, that's actually what is the recommended way to deal with complex situations. You can't decide on an approach and then implement it. No, you have to probe, test, small experiments, come back, rethink, do it again. And
Well, it's how all of science and technology development works,
exactly.
right?
And
Like you don't go, we
that's
have the
how
solution.
democracy is supposed to work.
Exactly.
But
So
but
so
but
so
we've
when we call
lost that seemingly.
but coming back to it, this is the grand experiment, right? America's the great experiment, which is we're going to put all these people who think differently together and literally try to get towards a point where we're actually including everybody.
Right.
And so we fail for a long time because we don't include slaves. We don't include Black people, brown people. We don't include women. We don't include gay people. Like, we don't include trans people. Like, we
Well, let
fail
me
all
just
the
add,
time.
okay, so in that category, particularly in the last 15, 20 years, we haven't included white rural America. I mean,
We
let's just
haven't included poor white rural
poor
America.
white rural Americans. Let's
We
just
haven't included people with
or
disabilities. We haven't
working
included
class Americans. Let's not
or
just
older people
or
who
oh
can't
no, thank
fend for
God.
themselves. I mean,
You just can't have a litany of the exclusions from the perspective of the left. You have to
well,
think
but what
about
you
it
find out, well,
holistically.
exactly. Well, exactly. And what you find out when you realize who has been excluded. There was this great article in the New York Times recently, and I don't usually say that about the New York Times, but it was great in that it acknowledged something that we've known for 20 years. It was a few days ago, saying that
Mhm.
it turns out that many white Americans don't feel that they have an economic future, who are, poor white Americans, especially in rural areas. Like, we've known this. And then the New York Times says it, and it becomes this like, wow,
Oh, exactly.
now we understand. It's like, because you thought that other people were stupid, you didn't
Yes,
listen, and
right,
then you didn't get the
right,
friggin' message. So,
right.
I mean, sorry, but
And
like,
when
we
you
can't behave in this. You can't behave in this way.
when you say the phrase stupid, that reminds me also that freedom of speech and democracy includes the freedom to be wrong and the freedom to be quote unquote stupid, but I'm going to say it in a positive way. Democracy, when it works best, uses all types of intelligence,
Thank you.
every kind of intelligence, the
Yes.
common sense intelligence, the emotional
Emotional intelligence,
intelligence, the intelligence of the 80-year-old grandmother. All of these things are
spiritual
incorporated.
intelligence.
Spiritual intelligence are
Yeah. And not just like I went to Harvard and
or
Georgetown and
or or
Yale.
Yale, right?
Yes.
All
And
right.
I guess coming from the world of edge science and having to fight with the jealousy of people in those sort of elite positions
Yes.
who get pissed off because if you find something interesting in the world of science, they know it's not real unless they're studying it, and so
Right.
it's not real. And then slowly over time, as they start studying it, they're like, there's something there. And you're like, yeah, but it's the same phenomenon as that New York Times article that said, oh, it turns out this might be like a problem.
Yes. What do
Oh,
you know?
we're a little concerned about this problem.
uh,
Anyway,
anyway, so we're gonna each come up present what, maybe four.
I ended
Uh,
up with a fifth.
yeah, I think I only have four right now, but we'll work it out. And we're on a time constraint, so we can't ramble on,
Yes.
right?
What
So
time is it? Yes. We got to go quick. So
yeah,
1 minute,
so
1 minute per
yeah,
blast.
and then before we start them, I thought we could each be a little bit more explicit about whatever our political biases or baggage or
Yes.
however you want to put it. So I'll go first because
Okay.
I actually spent a career in government, and I think all of you know that I come from the intelligence community, and I don't think the intelligence community is evil, but it certainly can be stupid. Um,
We got
I
to use all the stupidity,
Yeah, yes,
Tanya.
but we have to use their stupidity too. Uh, that's our slogan. Uh, the I tend to be sort of, as I've gotten older, I've gotten more progressive socially about how people can choose the path that they want to live in. That took me a while to get there, but I find that I'm accelerating now into that point of view. I'm economically, fiscally conservative. I think all governments uh, make the mistake of committing in budgets to years and years forward of spending, which the economy or the population are not going to be able to support, and that's just stupid. I also am for what someone would consider a progressive. I'm a minimalist about government intervention because I think people are people, and government civil servants are just as stupid as the next person, and all big programs tend to not work as they were conceived, if not fail. And that's okay because you can fix them. as you go along, but I certainly don't believe that government is the solution to every problem we have. Your turn.
I would agree with that statement. But I'm a city on a hill person. I'm like, let's see how amazing we could try to make this place be. Let's move towards hope. That's my biggest bias is towards hope and love, unconditional love, universal love. My second biggest bias, how to get there, is decentralized, uh, peer-to-peer, everything. But at the same time, to create that decentralized system that's actually working from a very centralized system, you have to like centralize a lot to get there. It's sort of like it's a little bit of a problem. But it's also, I think, true of sort of libertarian these days. I was raised in this household that was very academic, left-leaning, liberal, look down your nose at people who think differently from you. And that drove me nuts. It didn't drive me crazy, but it made me frustrated because the older I got, and I went to Oberlin College, by the way, which is a very liberal college, and I got further frustrated, not because I disagreed so much with people, but maybe it's because I'm Aquarian or something. I could see things from the other perspective so easily, and it just felt like there's a lot of discounting going on. Um, like, oh, you're just evil. You're just in cahoots with, capitalist pigs. You're just racist. You're just whatever. And it's like, actually, no, there's a whole story behind each
Right,
person's experience and what they
exactly.
and how they think. And um, so I got more into that.
All right. So I think it's time for your first idea. Try to
Okay,
keep
I'm
it
gonna set
under
a
a minute.
timer.
That's your rule.
I'm setting a timer. Here I go.
Oh,
Okay.
ooh, ooh, okay,
All right. Title, 1 minute brainstorm blasts.
okay.
Okay, problem I'm trying to solve. People feel out of touch with the government, whether it's state, local, or federal. They don't know how to communicate ideas to the government. Okay, solution. You create a website that records 1 minute policy or 1 minute brainstorm blast, largely policy ideas, maybe. So how it works is you can't upload a pre-recorded video. You have to record it live on the site, and there's a timer, so it can only be 1 minute. And it gives you examples about how to do it. It translates its speech to text. You have an AI that goes through all the text and weeds out anything inappropriate and also puts it into category bins. You have an AI that's weeding out any inappropriate visual imagery, and you get enough information about each person so that if they're doing inappropriate or scary or threatening things, you could follow that up. And you have a little checkbox about whether you can use their little comments for political purposes, and we are done. Oh, and
Okay.
what else?
All right.
Okay, you go. I'm going to set the
Okay,
timer.
so you can time me. So
Here we go.
my idea is the first one is kind of geared toward Kamala Harris administration. The others are not, but I'm calling it Befriending Fox with Friends. So the problem is that if she wins, she will be mistrusted at a minimum by the Trump supporters, largely the MAGA crowd, largely white, largely, uh, I don't want to stereotype it, not in the big cities. And so you have to communicate with them, and you have to communicate with them where they are. So start doing the weekly call in to Fox with Friends. As you know, Trump did that to great success. Attend the Sturgis motorcycle rally. Go to the places where they are and communicate with them there. And that's all I have to say about it.
Awesome. You had 5 seconds left. Very good.
But
All right. Great. Okay, this one is called Hope Technology Task Force. 1 minute. Here we go. Okay, so the problem is there's a hope gap in this country between people who are well educated and have high incomes and high potential and people who don't. That you have deaths of despair, addiction, trauma. Solution, use positive psychology. We have positive psychology informed well-being technology that's created in almost like not almost, in geographic areas. So each geographic area can compete to get federal funding for technology that they're going to create for their own community based on the science of positive psychology. In other words, hope, well-being. It's not focused on pathologizing people. It's not focused on you have this disease and we have to make you better. It's on us and how we're going to feel better in this community. It could even include faith-based institutions like churches, synagogues, mosques. And they're competing for these dollars, and then the best one in the country gets released to the entire country so we could all experience it.
Very cool. Okay.
Done.
So I'm not commenting because of time.
Yes,
My
yes.
second one is reimagining intelligence. Whichever president, whoever is elected president, needs to send some very strong demand signals to the intelligence community to rethink the way they do their work. And we've been trying to let the intelligence community reform on its own, and they've been pitiful. So just send some strong rules. I want you to do as much unclassified as possible because I want to be able to read this stuff at home at my leisure. I want to be able to look at it in my smartphone or get a text message when I'm traveling. And and whatever else you want to do to rethink intelligence. The unintended consequence of this is that I know that the American people have this view of the intelligence community as the devil incarnate, not to be trusted, out of control, an independent force of evil in the world. And I think by forcing them to deal not so much in secrets, but just in common sense, I think you might have the unintended consequence of rebuilding trust.
That is fantastic. Okay, that is my one comment. Okay, we have the mandatory national service gap year. Go. Name says it all. If you're going to go to college or a vocational school and you want the school to accept you, there's a new rule that you have to do at least one gap year. And it's a national service program. You could join the military for a year. You could go to the Peace Corps for a year, but you could also do internal, what I call Care Corps work. So the Care Corps is solving the problem of there's many people that need care and very few people who know how to care for them and spend time with them. So when you take your 6 weeks boot camp after you graduate from high school in preparation for your gap year, you go to one of many public universities around the country that are being paid to put you up and to do this. And you have to spend 8 hours a day, not on your cell phone, learning how to take care of elderly people or people who need your care.
Good, good.
Next.
All right, maybe we should each do one more just for time purposes. And
Yes.
so my third one will be demanding innovation. So everybody says we need innovation in government, but all sorts of studies show that when a leader in government tries to make an innovation, he either leaves his or her position before he can get it done, or he meets a lot of bureaucratic obstacles. And so my idea of improving this is for the president, whoever it is, to tell their administration, every one of you will be judged by one of two things or both. That is, how many regulations did you get rid of in a given year, and or what new idea, preferably someone else's idea, not your own, did you actually implement in the past year? And just force that as the standard by which you judge people. And I think if you do that, you will slowly begin to erode all the other obstacles to innovation in the federal government.
Amen. Okay, last one. Do you have any more after this, Carmen?
I had one more, but it's
Okay, second to last one.
okay.
Love Pack. This could be used for the presidential campaigns. It could be used for congressional campaigns. Any campaign can create a love, or any group of people could just create a love pack to solve the problem that campaigns are so negative and people don't talk about love. But actually, in order to get through all the problems that we have right now, love has to win,
Yes,
regardless of who the candidates are who win.
that's
And
right.
so the way this works is like a co-op. You put in $1 million. About a month before the election, you get 1 million votes online as to who you think emitted the most love during the campaign. So it's like a home stretch pack. They don't get the money until the last month before the actual election, and their behavior up until that point is being judged by everyone who contributes to the love pack. And I think what you get from it is more positive campaigns, but also an awareness of the importance of human connection and love and forgiveness. Okay, go.
Okay, my last one is the Forgotten American Initiative. And this gets back to what we were saying at the beginning, that so many Americans have fallen on hard times and aren't on anybody else's agenda. So my solution is that we take one of the cabinet departments. It could be agriculture, it could be commerce. Those are, I think, the two likeliest. And whoever wins, appoint a person there who is also designated as the champion for the forgotten American in our communities, who will concentrate on rural initiatives, who will focus on improving employment opportunities for people, white men or white women, the people that aren't part of any campaign right now. And we have to have, so one of the things we need to do is talk about this in America all the time so that it stops being a caricature. That's it.
Yes. No more zero-sum games.
That's right.
That
Exactly.
equality and progress and feelings of hope are not limited quantities that can only go to a few people. They
All
need
right.
to go to everyone.
So
Yeah.
I hope let us know if you enjoyed this, because we could do more of these rapid fire reactions, not hopefully from a partisan point of view, but from a straightforward what makes sense to us perspective.
Well, Carmen, even if they don't enjoy it, I really enjoy it. So let's just do it anyway.
Okay, yep, fine. All right.